Right.
Okay, the owl is being kind of annoying. Let me see if I can fix that.
Okay. Hi, Mike. I'm Paul Redmond. Hi, Paul. PP. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, camera.
Hey, join. Sure.
All right, I got that going. This is needs to be moved over.
Caitlin for?
I have not.
Caitlin?
Hi, Caitlin.
Caitlin, hi. Nice to meet you. Pete
Hey.
Beekman.
Yeah.
I know Andy.
Yeah. Keeps join the board.
There, we'll do that. Okay.
Barbara ever attend a meeting?
She
She
had
did.
one or two on Zoom.
I
And
remember
that was
that,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, she
I
said,
mean, he was filling a position that Barb never really.
I
But
know.
I do
Let me
remember
check
now.
the mic.
She was appointed a trustee and I was a player to be named later.
That's right.
this is draft choice. All right, I'm not gonna go.
Okay, I think everything's set up properly. Sorry, I changed the microphone on you there. So I think we're good now.
Okay. So that's Mike, and then we'll wait. Bethany should be in too, right?
It's
Okay.
my understanding she was gonna join.
That was my understanding from Mike. As we're early.
Yeah, we are.
We don't want to start early. There's no starting early. No.
Check my driveway, so if we're done early, that's fine with me.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm thinking. I gotta go back to Madrid, so I
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
have to drive.
yeah.
You don't have Hayden come over and do your driveway? Like, I mean, I'm sure he's with your son at a wing party, right?
Yeah,
probably. Isn't it Charlie's birthday today or
Yeah.
something? Is that what I heard? Yeah, they're busy.
Hey, Pete.
On all that show.
Tim, how you doing? Good. All right.
So Andy, are you still an alternate?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that I have everybody listed properly.
Everybody's got all the information they need. I do have some handouts.
Yeah, I guess.
Much
we'll
what you
go
said
with
on the
it.
computer, so
Pulling it up
yeah,
on my
it's
phone.
more, I got that.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
I think it's
go,
gonna be
yeah.
on the same boat. Yeah, that's what I'm like, all right.
I got all,
Yep.
Get on here and that.
I do have a little map where it is.
I think I might have.
Paul, in general, will you be talking at
Okay,
the
you're in
applicant or will
good shape.
Bethany be speaking as the applicant?
I'll probably spend most. of
And
it.
Andy's,
I might-
you got all the information.
Yeah, I got a question,
Yep,
don't
I
know
got
what
everything.
for- But I'll make it, I'll.
Okay,
that way.
Yeah, of course.
Full extra information.
Excellent.
Marcus Weiser.
No, I hear that.
And
Jenny will tell us.
Jenny will have it or Tim will have it.
what do you need?
Nothing. I didn't know if there was Wi-Fi, whether I
Yes.
could get,
Yes,
can I get to it?
Yep.
Oh. I printed most of the stuff, but I just didn't, I want to make
Yeah,
sure.
no worries.
Anything in my.
our super secret password. You want the Village of Canton guest. I
Okay,
don't know why, but the main one does not work properly. So the guest one, and then our super secret password is capital G UEST
No way.
2020. It's been a little while since it's been updated.
If it's not like COVID rocks or something like that.
Right?
Yeah.
right.
No.
Overdid it on the handout.
But thank you.
Did you get one? Do you want one? That was
Oh,
pretty
I
good.
probably need a handout, yeah. Gosh, okay. This wasn't actually my hand.
Tim, I'll take one if you have.
Oh,
one,
yeah,
so
sure.
just to follow
Okay,
along.
yeah.
It helps me clarify what I'm.
Oh,
Writing.
that one, I wanted to look at. I guess our first like in-person one since sometime during 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have not attended an
No, you
in-person
haven't been.
meeting.
No.
And I started February 2020.
Yeah, so like we only hold like these twice a year anyhow.
Right.
At best. We might get more just as now the signs are kicking us. That's
Right.
all.
I don't think it's been since the garage at McDonald's or.
Well, that was big. The dumpster.
Seekus, the house was the
Yeah, yeah.
last one that we did.
Mhm, the one on like College Place, or not College Place, but whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the two, I think, Barb.
Yeah,
I
those,
remember
Yes.
coming, her talking about McDonald's shed.
yeah, you're like, all right, what are we talking about? A shed?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, yeah, I believe it is.
I was thinking, because I was here for a different meeting, wasn't this, it was the.
Oh, yeah, the college court, yeah, they never did actually build.
No,
They
I
didn't build?
no, funding, like basically the materials cost went so high on them. They
Oh,
just couldn't-
Yeah.
they couldn't
No,
take that
that's
variance.
Yeah,
That's too bad.
It happens. Are they still zoned the same thing now, Tim? Do you know? I don't even know if there's.
Yeah, I mean,
Cause they're right in the old zoning still. What was the new?
well, they're still,
Then they never mixed use. They're not funky zone.
no, they're in actually residential multifamily.
Oh, they are. So they're, yeah. Yeah. We have a few more minutes for Bethany and for, there was one, the
Jolette,
Gillette wanted to dial in because she contacted you today, right?
Yeah.
So she's in Florida and she's one of the neighbors. She wanted that.
Yeah, actually-
Yeah, Gillette.
Joette.
Joette. Did I say
Joette.
Joette?
Joette.
Got it?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Hidalgo or something like that. Yeah, just.
you got
I
it.
think she's on the tree committee.
Yeah, she is.
Which is why
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
names stick in my head. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
perfect, great. She has
That's a
that,
good quality.
yeah.
I have the opposite.
Just go away. Is she the parcel right next to KDS there?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. They did a bunch of work on their places here, didn't they? Were they the ones that have the back? Like, it's well maintained and there's like a backspace as well there.
yep, yeah, they just, I know they, I think must have put either a new furnace in or HVAC or something.
Yeah, yeah,
because
that's-
Murphy Brothers was there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days.
Wow,
Mm.
okay. That's
If
right.
I'm on, park there, I'm facing KPS,
Uh-huh.
front door there to the left.
Yeah, direct, one house right to the left, yeah. Like 51 Park Street.
And then Mark Campbell's the next one down.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then the corner is one of Faye's apartments, used to be Pitkins.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Danny owns that one now?
Yeah,
I didn't know. I knew
Yeah.
Pickens wasn't there, but I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
Building.
Is the only one along the other side there? Is the only property of the Buttons that's not university? Like along the neighborhood mixed use along the other
I
side?
think
Well, let's
so.
look at our map.
I'm pretty sure.
No, I have a map that I sent, if you look in the handout.
Oh, page 3.
Well,
The Button's a big one.
it doesn't show you Buttons, but I think Button is right next to
I think they're right next to the
Casa
Casa
Latina,
Latina.
because then you have
Yeah.
the Rotary Club there and.
the outing club.
Outing Club's on the corner.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, so basically, so I was curious, basically, like, when we look at our map. You know, how many of these parcels are we talking about that are all like university owned? Basically, like, I mean, are we talking only the Button is the?
On that side,
There's a couple down
Oh,
Lincoln.
Yeah, actually down Park Place, everything
That's okay.
from, I guess it's south of, or no, north of Casa Latina is all university.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
thought.
they're all those theme houses.
Mhm,
Then you
yeah.
come back and
It's all-
then
It's
you have
like
Button's
university,
house.
university, Button, university. I think these two might be university as well.
And then the private from like there down.
Yeah. And so I'm like, this is not part of the meeting, obviously, but I'm trying to get a feel for basically when we drew our lines, right?
Well, that should be university property. The
Right,
way University Avenue, all of the houses up there,
right.
and one of those is private.
Yeah, exactly. The way these got slammed, should we have done the same thing? I know this was part of our conversation.
I wasn't here.
Yeah. And then,
They want to include that in the EC zone.
right.
Yeah, probably should have.
And basically, that's my question mark is kind of like thinking about basically, and that would be more of a university petitioning the village board for zoning change. just in the back of your mind, when you start to look at like how the parcels line up, it'd be along those edges there. Looks like Bethany's here.
Yeah, it looks like that one.
Sitting at Bernie Lammer's up here is a privately owned.
Is that one along there still?
I think it's the only one
That's the only one.
on
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
But it's now zoned university property, but it's not actually university property.
Yeah, it's EC, yeah, and that's. Yeah, well, I mean, you have a couple, I mean, there's other ones that are like spot, the edges, basically, you always like, this is zoning, this is
Yeah,
the
St.
game
Lawrence
edges.
St. Lawrence owns that one where the E
Mhm.
is.
Right here.
They own that
But
one.
it's- the interesting thing about this property doesn't even touch the EC zone. Because the buttons are in between that.
Yeah, so it would be a non-contiguous zone, but then
And
that's,
then all those other properties are technically in the residential multifamily
yeah, RMUs,
that are part of the,
the university, they're university owned, but they're residential multifamily.
which, fits the
Yeah,
use in that neighborhood.
and yeah, it does, and we were drawing those lines, basically, defining edges, you have to pick up the edges. So, all right, let's go ahead and it's 7:03, let's go ahead and call our public meeting to order. The general flow of the public hearing is that we are here to hear about a sign variance, an area variance for 54 Park Street. I will go ahead and ask Tim Nolan, the CEO, to talk briefly about why the permit was denied, and then I'll go ahead and ask the applicant to argue to just present what you're looking for, and then we'll go ahead and open it to the floor for any public comments from the public to share with the board from there. So the general flow of this public hearing is it's an opportunity for the public to put input into what they feel is going to be this sort of variance. This sort of variance, basically what we look at as a ZBA is we look at basically the impact of the area, what the code says, and how things play from there. So I'm going to introduce myself, I'll introduce my board, or I'll let my board introduce themselves, and then we'll go ahead and flow right through, and we'll start with Tim Nolan, okay? I'm Conrad Stunts, I'm the chair. Over here we have,
I'm Andy Whittier. I'm the alternate.
Caitlin Gollinger.
Pete Beekman.
and then on Zoom, we have Mike Snow. Give a wave, Mike. There you go. Okay, perfect. All right, those are the board members from the ZBA sitting here, and let's go ahead and pass it over to Tim Nolan to give us a little background about the application and what's happening here with that.
It's relatively simple. I denied the permit application due to the fact it was non-conforming to the 325/67 signage permitted in all districts. Property utilized for non-residential or business activity as a principal use shall be permitted one sign and shall meet the following standards. Total cumulative sign area for sign permitted shall on such lot shall not exceed 12 square feet. And the issue is really the size of the sign, it's the area of the sign. And they are permitted one sign, and they're, you can kind of call them like a business activity because they're part of the university in a sense. But it's the real issue is the size of the sign. So, and the sign that was along with the plans is 48 inches wide and 72 inches tall. So it's well beyond 12 square feet. So that's where the denial came from.
Great. Okay, so it sounds like it's an application for it's got a 24 square foot sign. Permitted use would be a 12 square foot sign, so it's before us for a variance. Any board have any questions for Tim at this point? All right, great. We'll now hear from the applicant, representative. Yeah, sure.
Mind if I-
That, please do. Please
Rather
join
than-
us. Yeah, lurching.
I certainly want to respect your
Yeah, no.
board, but also don't want to
Yeah.
just talk from the back row.
Yeah.
So I'm Paul Redburn, I'm the Vice President for University Communications and Institutional Strategy at St. Lawrence. Let me start just by saying a couple of things. One, thank you to those of you here in person who weathered the storm this evening to come. We appreciate it. Thanks to those joining on Zoom. I also want to provide some context, and I think you have our sort of signage, our phase one of our signage plan, or at least Andy has a copy of it here. It's part of a comprehensive effort to provide visitors to campus with better signage for if I want to go somewhere, how do I get them to that spot on our campus? Signage, I would say historically at the university has not been great in that way, and we're trying to put a better plan into place. We spent the better part of 2 days also with Tim this fall, going around really trying to understand and walk through, and here's what we're trying to accomplish, and what is the zoning call for, you know, where we thought maybe we could put some things. And I just want to thank him as well publicly. He spent quite a bit of time with us and was really super helpful in the process. This particular sign is one as visitors are coming down right University and they get to park. You know, there's not anything that says turn left to go to admissions, turn left to go to athletics, turn left to go to the bookstore. Trying to remember right off the top of my head, and I don't. What else is on there? It might be
Evan Holden.
Evan Holden. So what we're trying to do is when I come down there and I stop at that stop sign, right in front of you, there's a sign that says you're supposed to go left to those areas. The signs around our campus, most of them, I'm assuming some of you've probably seen the new signs that are in.
Yeah.
We've gotten pretty positive feedback from most. Most of them are taller than the one planned for this particular spot. We've shortened this up by, and I'm going to refer Bethany. I think we've shortened this one by it's 6 feet instead of 8 feet tall. So we've made it a little shorter to try to fit it into the envelope of where it is in that residential area. But we're concerned that it's also high enough that you can see over a snowbank of where to go as well. So that's why we're asking for the variance today. We did provide when we were in front of what was the other board, the planning board, maybe? Planning board. They had asked us to go and take some photos from the neighbors' properties, which I think we also sent along to Conrad.
Yep.
They probably have as well. So you know, the university wants to be good partners, wants to be a good partner in the community, and we're just trying to get our visitors to where they need to go. Okay. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Does the board have any questions for Paul at this point? Okay, just to clarify one thing on the application itself, it asks for sign design 24 feet, yes, and the code references 16 feet in the application. I believe it's a 12 square foot maximum. Is parcel. Is that correct?
I assume that was a typo.
I assumed it was typo too. I just want to make sure that
Where's that typo?
that typo's on their actual application for the on there. Okay, answered.
Oh,
Not a big deal.
gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, not a big deal. So that's what we're looking at. Great. Any other questions for Paul at this point? Great. I'd like to open the floor for any public comments. Any public comments? Any public who wants to comment? I don't think we really have any public, but we're going to open it anyhow. Yeah.
You can then say you've opened it.
Understand.
Yeah, we got
Why it had to be open
Well,
for.
the last comment I had from Joette, she just said, thank you for getting back to me right away, and that was about it.
Okay.
But I gave her all the Zoom links and the meeting contacts and.
Right. But we did have one neighbor reach out with questions to the code enforcement officer. He responded by email with contact information. The tenor of the email, Tim, correct me if I'm misrepresenting, The tenor of the email was, I'm curious what's happening. It was not a strongly for, strongly against, it was, I'm curious what's happening.
Pretty much.
All right.
Can I?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Bethany Bernardovich. I'm with the sign company, and I just want to kind of follow up to Paul's comments. The sign, after walking around and learning more about the code, was reduced by 2 feet in height. So we lost 8 square feet there. And then the bottom portion of the sign really holds about 10 square feet. But we have that in the signage because of the snow and, you know, having that 24 to 30 inches on the bottom. So we are aware of the code, but those were some of the changes that we made and the reason why the sign is so high. So we took 2 feet off, but we maintained you know, that about that 30 inches from the ground to the bottom of the text to accommodate, you know, the snow and still having the sign be legible to the public. So those are my only 2 comments I wanted to add. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Bethany. Awesome.
I have a question for Bethany, maybe, or maybe for you, Paul, just in terms, and I think I know the answer. Some of the similar things, I was walking down today, I saw the Niles Asset Management, some other signs I've seen in the area are on stilts.
Yeah.
Posts, some are on posts, and that, I assume that would reduce the square footage if the bottom was open. Assume the reason you didn't go that way is you're looking for consistency with the other signage on campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
One of the things, when you get into, as you all know, when you get into signage is, especially signage across a campus that's like ours, is consistency in the look, so people know, oh, there's one of those signs, that will tell me where to go.
Yeah, I guess that was, yeah, the reason.
Yep.
Why didn't you choose a slightly different design?
Yep.
Great. Any other public comments? Great. All right, we will go ahead and close the public hearing at this point. At this stage then, since the public hearing is now closed, we will transition with the same crew here straight into our ZBA meeting. And the ZBA meetings where we discuss as a board what we think about this application, and we can ask the applicant more questions, and we try to figure out what makes the most sense in this situation. Okay,
So I'm assuming you'd like me to stay for this part.
that would be nice. Only if you want to represent yourself.
So happy to.
Yeah.
Down on the question, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Always ask questions that come up. So. All right, so. First off, any questions from the board right away?
I had one other question, and that was the code, I think indicates the sign has to be 5 feet off the ground. Did I read that
No.
right? Shall be 5 feet and shall be set back 3 feet
Oh, setback.
above grade of the road. Shall be 5 feet and shall be set back 10 feet. So I wondered, maybe I'm misreading.
Yeah, right. You got that.
Section.
You and
So we're asking for 2 variances, really, the height of the sign, which has to do with the snow accumulation, I assume, and the square footage.
You're talking about the setback.
I believe that the setback is 3 feet from the sidewalk.
it is like. creepy.
So I think setback, it
It
is,
is the maximum height of a freestanding sign above grade level of the road shall be 5 feet and shall be set back at least 10 feet.
And then
I
there's
assume that was referring to the height.
That's from property line unless
on
on a corner.
there's another section of that code which has it about setback on the sidewalk itself. And setback on the sidewalk itself is 3 feet from the edge of the sidewalk. Or 10 feet from the edge
This
of the
section
road.
is really talking about visibility at intersections.
Okay.
Like if that same sign is at an intersection, you'd have to comply to that section. And
So it's
Conrad,
a little more detailed here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I didn't go into
I think that that's a little quicker summary.
And I think-
Thank you.
So,
correct me if I'm wrong, you're, when we did the site review, I think you guys are actually setting it back more than 3 feet.
yeah, it might be more, I know it's at least. 3
You
feet, like we
exceeded,
set it
you
back,
exceeded the
yeah.
3 feet.
We tried to set it back, so that wasn't gonna be an issue.
It was like edge of sidewalk, 3 feet in.
Right.
And that whole section B is for the visibility at the intersection.
Got it.
and it's 12 feet, 3 feet back from sidewalk, and no lights, no dancing penguins, nothing. Okay, great. There goes that idea. All right, so our job then, right, is to look at the applicant as it stands. Basically, we're looking for a bigger sign. It is, we're all familiar with where the parcel is. I assume that because most of us live in the area as we kind of drive by it. We've heard from Paul about the look, the feel, the cohesive structure that they're trying to go for with their signage. Okay. And we need to look at this and basically see what we think. Okay. Now, the way a ZBA works, it's very straightforward, right? A couple questions we talk about and we go through our stuff and then we vote, make decisions from there. Okay. Mike, you don't have any questions. You've been doing this forever, right? You're good. You're good. Okay.
We can't hear him.
Yeah.
Can't hear him, but
No.
I can read his lips.
Yeah. You said you're good, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. Good. Mike's good. All right. Basically, one of the questions we have to ask ourselves, basically, any undesirable change will be producing the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. With this sign, this area variance that we're looking for, doubling the area, would it create an undesirable change in the neighborhood? Would it create a detriment to neighbors? Is it going to shade their trees? Is it going to impact their quality of life? What do you guys think?
He walks by it every day,
Yeah,
probably
I-
twice or three times a day. It's amazing, so.
Yeah, I was surprised after seeing them because I walk the campus every day with our dog and I noticed the one farther up Park Street
Mhm.
and coming down or coming out of what's that road now? Laurentian Way or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a sign right there telling you to, take a left for all those places. And then I'm going down University Ave and I'm like going, we're missing something here. So, and having worked at 3 universities for my career, I'm sensitive to campus signage and I'm just amazed at how you got this passed on campus. You got a campus to agree to a design. But that's another story, I guess.
I can tell you that one when we're outside. the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah. So I and then just looking at, other than the Button property, it's pretty much all university property, just the way it is going up Park Street. I mean, it seems to be reasonable to me. I guess my only question was, as you're coming down University Ave at the bottom, was there any discussion about, putting it maybe on the left? Since that's a higher grade, you'd eliminate the snow problem. I know it's not as effective as coming to a stop sign and having it hitting you right in the face.
So we looked at the coming down University, we looked at the left,
Yeah,
but with the trees there,
yeah,
we didn't think there was a great place to put it on the
Mhm.
left. We felt like the optimum place was at the stop sign
Yeah.
looking forward.
will make sense.
We have, the sort of the backup that we talked to Tim about the day we were, a couple days that we spent is, if this is not acceptable, could we do, and it might also be a variance that we come back for, but down, as you go down and on the right, like sort of next to KDS there on the right-hand side, on the other side of the sidewalk. But we didn't feel like that was optimal either.
Mhm.
Basically, on KDS property,
Yeah.
which is educational zoning.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's sort of that's what, if
That's your
it's
fallback.
denied, that's our fallback, because I do think we need something in
Oh,
that
yeah.
area.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
you've gotten them this
So,
far.
yeah.
When they get to what are they gonna do?
Right.
How do they know to take a left
Right.
or a right?
But we did
Stop and
feel,
ask you when you're walking me.
Right.
There you go.
we did feel like at the stop sign was the optimal, was our number one choice, so we decided to request it.
I mean, that basically comes down to like number 2, basically. When we start to think about whether we're looking for this benefit, right? Can it be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance? Basically, is there a feasible alternative? We talked about the size of the sign, knocking the bottom off doesn't work well because of the snowbanks, because that sort of thing. We're talking about, does it make sense to move to one of the other corners that are already educational campus, and therefore, the signs are match the educational campus stuff, and it happens there. And so that is a fair question for the board to think about, basically. Like,
Conrad, I would say my concern with moving it to that spot would be pedestrian traffic. People sort of trying to read the sign while they're driving, folks coming from behind the sign and traffic might not see them, sort of walking down that sidewalk. I would be nervous about sightlines and pedestrians.
Yeah, especially if it's on the KDS corner, for sure.
Yes, because people are walking down the street, they
Right.
might step out into the street while
Right.
somebody's.
Because most of the people are going left
Mhm.
and they're looking left, not right
Right.
for pedestrians.
Mhm.
So.
If we come back to the first question, basically, undesirable, is it, do we feel it's like an undesirable change in the neighborhood?
No, my only question would be, have we heard from the Buttons at all?
They received the notice that everyone else did, but there's been no,
They're renting it, aren't they?
no, Steve is living there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Rents the back half, but I think they live in
Okay.
front.
There was one of the properties I did take a picture from too, that should be in your packet, is from the Buttons
I
property.
think he rents apartments in the carriage house.
Right, I think so too. I think they live front half, don't they?
They live in
In the house.
the house.
Yeah,
and
and they rent the back.
Look
Yeah.
at back.
There's
yeah.
2 units in the carriage house.
Yeah. In that photo, basically, they're hedged. So
Right.
they've done screening hedging right there. So this time of year it might be open, but most of the year it's shaded. Okay. So, I mean, is our gut feel on that one, basically, is it undesirable change? Oh. No,
No, I don't think so.
no, okay. Benefits sought by applicant can be achieved by feasible alternative to the variance. I'm gonna have to come back to that one, because I think that's something I think that I need to think a little bit about in terms of whether it's feasible. Let's talk a little more about some of the other points. We'll come back to that. Where the requested variance is the third point, whether the requested variance is substantial. This is a lot of times for ZBAs comes down to the question of what is substantial, right? Okay. I mean, it's always clear as mud, right? It's kind of like our feel on substantialness, right? We have a code that says 12 square feet. We have an application that says 24 square feet. It's a 100% increase on the code amount. Okay. Is that feel substantial? I mean, we know our arguments about the signage for the university, okay? But the question is, does it feel substantial to us? Now, keep in mind, as we talk about area variances, we can fail them on one thing and still grant the area variance. Okay, this is not like a use variance, it's not like other things. We can basically come through these, we can decide these things like, oh yeah, it feels substantial, we can still grant it or not, okay? The final decision, there's different variances are locked in based on different votes,
Mhm.
okay? On the area variance, we're still allowed to grant an area variance, even if we feel that it fails one task, okay? So on a use variance, which is a more stringent testing, if it fails one test, it's done. On an area variance, it can fail a test, but it's just we have to discuss it.
Mhm.
And then we can still vote to allow it, even if we feel like this is a big variance. I would like to remind the board that we are at a state where we have new zoning laws and new zoning lines. And so we are looking at the edge scenarios for things like signs, for things like building, and we have to keep that in the back of our minds for what decisions we make now. How does that play to the village board or for other aspects, for other entities being like, well, maybe we should be, if we start to see more applications, but not a big deal. So back to requested variance, is it substantial?
I mean, personally, I think it sounds substantial, but then in context of the situation, like kind of decreases. And I'm one, like my OCD, like wants all of the signs to be uniform and like
Right.
similar. And so,
I was saying, Pete's point, if you're driving up down Park Street, you've already seen 3 of these signs.
Yeah,
If you're driving down University, you've seen at least 2 of these signs.
Right.
So it's 100% bigger. But is it substantial in the context of the fact you've already seen these signs by the time you get to this one?
Right, and this is the
I don't know.
danger, right?
I don't know how you define substantial.
And this is the danger of
Yeah.
ZBAs, right?
Yeah.
Because the signs went in just across the street. What's one more change?
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, so that is our job though. We're edge scenarios.
Yep.
And so it's like,
So-
yeah.
if I have someone who comes into me and says, geez, I mean, it says I can be 5 feet tall. I want a 10-foot high sign. I mean, it's a 100% increase. Is that substantial? If it wasn't in context, but the context is fair, right? But it's like, I think it would be a different conversation if we were looking for something else that was a one-off,
Mhm.
a different location.
Mhm.
But because it's part of a bigger plan, I think it's very fair to think about that. Because I mean,
agree with you.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like that, yeah. Right. Mike, you good? All right, cool. Where'd you go? Yes. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? Is it going to change runoff? Is it going to change shading? Environmental impacts in the neighborhood? Is it going to impact anything that's environmental based?
No.
There's not like a pond there in the spring melt or anything. Do you have
No.
noticed one? No, it doesn't have an issue. Not a wetlands. I would say no real environmental impact. Okay, now the fun one. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Okay, this is the one on every variance where it's like, did they just come up with this reason that they want to apply and like, well, I can't possibly do it any other way? Okay, did they create this issue? Okay, and this is an interesting one because this one I feel really gets to the heart of what we look at with variances. Because a lot of times a variance is someone applying for like, they want something. A lot of times it's like, well, I just want to build bigger, or I want to encroach. And sometimes you look at it, you're like, well, you're encroaching, but your foundation is within 6 inches of the lot line, and you didn't, I mean, you just bought it that way. And that's like, you didn't create this issue, you inherited it. In this situation, the difficulty is they want a wayfinding sign. My summary is they want a wayfinding sign in a zone that's not zoned for that size sign to go with their campus feel and the campus plan. Was it self-created? Tim, I have a question for you. I want to back up a second. Looking at the previous signage, the previous code, like we're talking like on July, June. Okay. Signs historically went to you, they went to planning, they went to village board, they never came to ZBA because it wasn't a clear code decision up or down. Okay. In your past experience, this section of the road, would you guys be treating this any different than you'd be treating the houses across the street, the other properties on the St. Lawrence campus for signage?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the only reason it was denied because it's in the residential multifamily.
Which is fair, as it should be denied, because it is, as we know, it is doubling the size, the allotted sign size.
Right.
But it's interesting, for me, it's interesting to look back and say, historically, it might have been treated slightly differently because it would have been part of a bigger campus map and a campus plan and would have been handled a little differently. So is this a self-created, is this self-created by the university or by the applicant in the situation? Or is it say, they inherited the situation and they can't, they're doing the best they can with it? Thoughts? Any questions? Or like about ZBAs, there's really no clear answer.
It's really hard to write it down.
Yeah, it's not quite black and white. That's why we get the fun ones. At least we haven't had an interpretation yet. Those are always even more fun. But you had an interpretation.
I mean, I started with the CFC,
Yeah,
so
so you start with the
that
interpretation.
was my indoctrination, and
Mhm. It's been mellow since.
it was gonna be very exciting to be
Yeah,
on
no.
this.
Really, no. Since then.
I try to keep it as boring as possible. That's my job.
Yeah. Okay. So we have 5 questions basically, right? 5 things we're thinking about. was it self-created? You know, adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood? Is it substantial? Can it be achieved any other way? And undesirable change in the neighborhood. Okay. If I had to summarize where we are with our, robust conversation, I would say that basically what we're looking at is basically we're feeling like the sign does not truly have a massive impact on the neighborhood. Neighborhood or environmental side, right? We kind of feel that the feasible alternatives to this, we thought about the opposite corners. The best spot does sound like across the street in this front yard. The other two, is it substantial? That's kind of a gut feel. Is 100% increase gut feel? Somewhere else, maybe as part of the campus plan, maybe not. Hard to say. And then was it self-created? I would also summarize that as a gray area because of the new zoning stuff. So. Anyone?
It might have been handled differently had this plan been in place a year ago.
A year ago, I'd say a full year in order to get before the code. It would have been handled differently, but it may have been basically the parcels along here with the neighborhood mixed use, right? Would have been zoned the same as the university parcels along this edge here.
Yep.
So the zoning would have been slightly different for the entire, and so there would have been a different flow, or they would have all been approved at the same time, like basically because the parcels were zoned in other groupings. Mike, do you have anything to add? Any thoughts on this situation? No. All right, you're good.
Hear him. I hope he didn't have-
I shook his head, so we're gonna go with it now. He's good. Okay. All right. Well, we have a couple options at this point. We can table it, think about it, come back, vote later. We could vote now. We could put some conditions in place and vote now. Like the ZBA has the options to basically pass with conditions. The ZBA has the option to deny. The ZBA has basically a lot of leeway in terms of how we approach this. We are not required to make a decision today. We have 60 days from today to actually make a decision by law. Our board tends to like to make decisions quickly, but sometimes we have to go away and think about it because sometimes we encounter things that we're concerned about, or sometimes there's more input that's required. Before we go too far, does the board feel like we need more input, or do we need to gather more information about anything about this application? Okay. Do you guys want to proceed with voting today? Do you want to talk about do you guys want to table it and think about it for a bit, come back in a month? Do you want to, what's a general feel?
I'm fine to.
Yeah.
proceed.
Okay.
Yeah.
You good? You good to proceed, Mike? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so basically we have two choices here, or a couple choices here. Do we want to, the question is, the benefit to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood, okay? Okay, and therefore the request is denied, right? Or the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood, which is any sort of things we talked about, and therefore it would be allowed, okay? All right. And any sort of variance, if we do approve any sort of variance, we can also put stipulations in saying we can't make the sign 6 inches higher. We can limit it to this size. We can, I don't know if the applicant would be willing to, is 4 foot the minimum width that we work with these signs? Or do we go down to 3s? Like what width are the parkings?
I'm not sure I understand. You mean the width
All of them
of
are
them?
4 feet.
All of them.
So all of these types of signs are 4 feet. The parking ones are thinner. Bethany, do you have that? What are the parking signs? Are they 3 feet? The
I
admissions
could-
part-
I could look something up quickly, but I believe you're close to it with 36 inches for the sign tip case. It wouldn't take me long to find it. It would just take me a minute. If we reduced the width of it from 48 to, took 6 inches off, we would lose 8 square feet. So
Yeah.
if,
I would add there, I would start to get, I would start to be concerned
Mhm.
about how looks like it may push down 3 lines, that admissions, pace and hall line certainly would be in that cut, so that would add a second line there.
Then your height might be off because you'd be down below a snowbank.
I think I'll be down below snow, or potentially be real close to a snowbank there.
Mhm.
I don't know, I mean, I'm looking at it here, bookstore, I don't know if that would push to another line, in conference center. We're probably right on the edge there, but, so I'd be a little concerned there.
Mhm.
and
And-
I misspoke, it's 3 square feet, not 8. If we
I was
reduce.
wondering about that. I was
Yeah.
running with that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If we reduced it, by 6 inches by the 72 height, that's a 3 square foot reduction in the overall square variance. But to Paul's point, it might sacrifice then the copy layout and how much lower the copy drops.
Yes, if we drop the copy below the snowbank, it almost defeats the
Only if I want to go to Evan.
purpose, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I would also say, Conrad, we were, when we looked at it too, again, the university and trying to be a good partner, right? We started with 8 feet and we looked at, it, we're like, that's way too big for that.
Yep.
Piece, so that's why we did drop it to 6.
Yeah. And 6 is smaller than I'd say that there's one along there that is 8.
The 6-foot sign is the one, as you get up to the bookstore, that is set to the right
Mhm.
of the, I forget, is that Lincoln?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
On Lincoln there, that is a 6-foot sign. We made that a little bit smaller
Then the ones on campus.
than the one,
Yeah.
than the other ones like up. University on Ramota
Ramota,
are 8.
Yeah.
So we did drop that one down.
For the same purpose, felt like it was.
It felt like it didn't need to be that high. The one further down on Park, I think is 8.
Yeah, that's an 8.
Yeah.
That feels like a much larger sign.
Yep.
Like physically, when you're walking by that feels
Yeah.
like a larger sign.
Global studies, right?
Right by global.
Yeah,
Studies,
yeah,
Peace studies. Okay.
And I do have that follow-up, the parking signs that are the bright yellow on the top portion with the big P, they are 30 inches wide. And
Yes.
the copy on those is significantly less, of course, because you're only listing 2 or 3 text, parking with an arrow. Admissions, parking with an arrow, but that is 30 inches wide.
That's the look and feel for parking signs. It's a different look and feel for wayfinding
Yep.
signs.
Mhm.
So, okay, cool. Okay. So basically we can talk about, we allow, we deny it, we, certain size variance, or any conditions we want to put in. As a board, at this stage, Andy as the alternate is going to be a non-voting member this evening. So, Mike, Pete, and Caitlin will vote. Andy will be non-voting because of his alternate status and because of his connections to various parcels.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. And so we'll go from there. Let's see here. So do we have thoughts? Do we want to put a motion forward do we want to go ahead and vote to deny, vote to allow? What do you guys feel like voting for?
I'd motion to allow it.
Second.
Great. Okay, the motion's to allow it. Pete seconds it. All right, we are ready to vote. Let's go ahead and vote. We're going to vote that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to neighborhood and the community. That's our thought. All in favor? Let's see. I need to roll call this one. So Caitlin, your vote? Aye or nay? Aye, you allow it, or nay, you deny it?
Aye.
Aye. Pete?
Aye.
Mike? Aye or nay? Aye. So is that a yes, aye? Okay, good. Yeah, okay. All right, great. So there we are. The motion passes. We are allowing it. The variance. And the question is, do we want to put in any sort of minimum variances or any stipulations on the sign as designated? Think we're good? We good? Anything to change, Mike? No, you're good. Okay, so we're gonna allow the sign as applied. It's a 24 square foot sign. It will be set back according to, Tim's job. Tim will take care of that setbacks for the location. And we go from there. Okay. Do the applicants have any questions at this stage?
The other times we've gotten a variance, we've gotten paperwork on it to have for when Bethany puts it in. I'm assuming this will be the same. We'll get some sort of paperwork that we pick up.
Yeah, so basically,
You'll get a permit.
Right, yeah. It's been a long day. Yes, we'll get a permit that
Thank you for reminding me, actually.
Yes, that Bethany's staff will have when we put the sign in.
exactly. So basically, I will write up a decision. I'll have a decision within a week or so. Once that decision is done and taken care of, it'll go off to Tim. Tim will have that in file for the application that then he will allow a permit.
Then I can issue the permit.
Then he can issue a permit and they can go from there. Any other questions from the board? Nope. Thank you very much. I'll close today's ZBA meeting, 7:34. Thank you so much for your help, for your work, guys. Thank you for coming, Mike. Thanks for coming, Bethany.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Okay.
Okay, cool. There we are. Any
Thank you.
more signs going in?
Thank you. Yeah, so we do have some others going in.
Closed.
We have others that are planned. They're